Hello, my name is Margherita and I'm an Italian living in Scotland. My YouTube channel is all about discovering Scotland through the eyes of an Italian who frankly loves it here. In this video, I will be taking you to the top of a volcano where we will find a folly from ancient Greece, an observatory that was once the center of world's astronomy, and a timepiece built like an upside-down telescope to commemorate a very famous British admiral. And the good news is we're only 5 minutes away from the city center. That is because we're going to the top of Calton Hill in Edinburgh. So here it is, Edinburgh's Folly, also known as Scotland's Disgrace. The first time that I saw the monument, the only thought that came to mind was, why? The monument was actually built to commemorate Scots who died during the Napoleonic Wars. And it is in the shape of the Parthenon because back in the 1800s, when the building was first commissioned, Edinburgh was considered the Athens of the North due to its cultural renaissance that it was going through. As you can see, obviously the monument was never finished. You can only imagine how expensive it must have been to actually get to the end of this project. All the stones were actually built in the shape of the Parthenon back in Athens, and you can imagine how expensive it must have been to carry each individual stone to the top of the hill. It is actually said that a team of 12 horses and 70 men was needed to carry each individual stone. Plus, the fundraisers never managed to collect the whole money that they needed, so we only have 12 columns, and that is why it's considered Scotland's Disgrace. As you can see today, the monument is a place for tourists and for climbers. That is because if you can manage to get to the top of the monument, you'll get to see one of the best views of the city. My advice would be, if you're actually my height, so not that tall, would be to ask someone to help you pull up. And trust me, everyone here is extremely nice, both the tourists as well as Scotsmen. So I'm sure that you can manage to actually pull yourself up and get to enjoy the view as well. This right here is the Nelson Monument. Horatio Nelson was one of the greatest British admirals of all time, who died in 1805 at the Battle of Trafalgar during the Napoleonic Wars. When news of his death reached Edinburgh, it was thought to build a monument to commemorate him. The first idea that came to mind was to build a Chinese pagoda, but that was soon rejected in favor of an upside-down telescope. Because he was an admiral, so he probably did use a telescope throughout his career. Due to its prominent position, at first the tower was used to send signals throughout the city. Flags would be flown to announce either the arrival of ships at the harbor or the cancellation of Royal Garden events due to the bad weather. The monument took on a new importance in 1852 when Professor Charles Piazzi Smith decided to install a time ball on the top of the tower. The ball would drop at exactly 1 o'clock every day, and it would help the sailors who would approach Edinburgh calculate the accuracy of the longitude at sea. Due to the fact that obviously we're in Scotland, the weather isn't always ideal like it is today. So since we're on top of a hill, you can imagine that whenever it was misty or rainy, it was kind of impossible to actually see the time ball. So in 1861, it was decided to introduce the 1 o'clock gun from Edinburgh Castle. There was actually a long wire that would connect the tower to the castle, so every day whenever the ball would drop at 1 o'clock, it would unleash the guns from the Edinburgh Castle. Obviously, you know that you're 100% in Scotland if in the background you hear amazing bagpipes. Since we're on top of a hill, you can imagine what the view must be in nighttime of the sky, especially when it's clear. That is why a city observatory was built here in the 1800s. It is actually here on top of Calton Hill that Dundonian Thomas Henderson, the first astronomer royal, discovered how to measure the distances between stars. The first thing you see up on the hill, coming up from the Princess Street side of Calton Hill, is this wonderful cannon. This is actually a Portuguese cannon that has a very long history due to the fact that it lived throughout the British Empire as well as the European expansion. In the end of the 1800s, the Brits actually managed to steal the cannon from the Portuguese and bring it back here to Britain. And it was actually displayed in one of the Edinburgh fairs in the end of the 1800s. After that, it was brought up here to the hill. So there you have it, guys. Calton Hill is one of the most visited sites in Edinburgh because it's green, it's full of history, and it's easily accessible. Let me know in the comments below if there are any other sites around Scotland that you would like for me to visit. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time, or as I would say it, grazie mille, alla prossima.